Hi, welcome back to Brave Podcast. I'm your host, Victoria Comstock-Kershaw, and I'm joined today by Jonny Tanna. Hi, Jonny.
Hey, how's it going?
I'm really good. How are you?
Good, thank you. Thanks for having me on.
No, thank you. I'm so excited for this. For those who don't know, Jonny is the gallerist behind Harlesden High Street. Could you tell me a little bit about yourself, for those who aren't familiar, and about Harlesden High Street, your program, your practice?
Harlesden High Street's a POC-run space in Harlesden, which is in northwest London. We primarily show people of colour and mostly outsider artists too. And we work a lot with the community engagement, and the purpose of the space is try to have accessibility to people who don't have access to the contemporary art world.
Yeah, can you tell me a little bit about the history of Harlesden High Street? When did it start? What was you kind of outlined the motivations, but a bit about the journey.
Okay, so I had a gambling problem for a few years, and I offset that by going to a film night in a pub in Portobello Road, and I became friends with the guy who runs the film night. Eventually, we moved the film night to a gallery, and then in the gallery, I eventually hosted my own film nights, which led to me curating exhibitions. The fun part of the story is when one day I went for a walk with the director of the gallery, and he took me to an antique shop, and he said, "Yeah, go talk to the person inside the shop." And I said, "Why?" He goes, "Because they could probably help you find your own space." So I went in there and just asked the lady, and she gave me a number for a developer, and he was giving me loads of sass on the phone, so I just gave it right back to him. He goes, "Hey, no one speaks to me that way. I like you. Come in Monday morning, 9 to 5, and wear a suit." So I just reported to this office for like 6 months without any contact with this guy. He just brought me in there, put me in a room with a laptop and a bunch of files, and I just had to figure it out. And then I ended up with a space in Fitzrovia.
You say community engagement, and this is something that I've always liked about this gallery, is it really is, you're friends with your neighbours. Yeah. People come in and out all the time that are clearly locals. Mm-hmm. Can you tell me a little bit about why community engagement in this part of London is so important to you?
So it's the one ungentrified neighbourhood in London, and because I grew up here and I knew, I had a bit of a slow start in life, I wanted to give that back to other people. I wanted to sort of build a platform that's, cast the net wide enough that someone will come in and say, actually, I'd like to show my art here too. And I've actually met some really interesting people through it. And they've gone on to do quite a lot actually since then. So.
Yeah, and this is something we were talking about earlier, is you do provide a sort of stepping stone to outsider artists that want to kind of get their foot in the door of contemporary art and the kind of ecosystem. Which is, well, as we have spoken about a lot, is not particularly accessible, is not particularly friendly. Can you tell me a little bit about how you combat that?
Essentially we do 2 sales shows a year, like we have on right now, which is a painting show. But most of the time we do mostly experimental and sort of conceptual and installation-based shows. And so because we have low rent, it affords us the space to then put on artists who wouldn't potentially have a market in the art world. And that allows us to then give them a platform and reach a wider audience.
Speaking of outsider art, right now you've got Echo's show on, Data Leak. Yeah. Absolutely gorgeous, very post-internet, very painterly. Can you tell me a little bit about the show?
So Data Lake is a show about the browser wars that happened in the 2000s. And Echo's got a fascination with like the early 2000s Y2K aesthetic and culture. And on the floor, as you can see, as part of the installation, she's got these leaked papers from the court case of Netscape versus Internet Explorer, which is quite a big deal at the time. It seems like nothing now, but it's a huge thing. It's like Google versus Apple, for example. Yeah. And so the works are like characters that revolve around it within this sort of imaginary story she's built up.
Yeah, it's so great. No, I was fangirling earlier about sort of the Wojaks that are popping up everywhere, which I love. And you've also, it's on for another, I think, 10 days or so, but you've got Forces of Nature with Satare. This is another thing that you do, not just with Harlesden High Street, but with Minor Attractions, is you work with other galleries a lot. Can you speak on that?
Yes, so Satare we've worked with in the past, a really nice gallery from Germany. They've been very generous, and they offered to host us for the first show and collaborate on doing this project. So we currently show in Forces of Nature, which has Abba Sahedi, Jami Agboki and Emmanuel Rooney.
So tell me a little bit about Minor Attractions as well. That was such a huge thing to happen during Frieze Week. One of my favourite parts of it, certainly.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Yeah, so Minor Attractions started when I was working with Sunday Art Fair in 2019, and they asked to host a party in one of my buildings. And so we were in talks about potentially working together. And then I met Camilla Cole, who now runs Hyper Studios, and we were talking about starting our own fair. And eventually that evolved into working with another company called Barely Fair. So Barely Fair is another fair in Chicago, like it's like a miniature fair. And so I went there with my friend Jacob Barnes, and we sort of pitched them the idea of bringing this to London. Unfortunately, logistics didn't really work out. And so we decided to just do our own little thing. And it started off as a fair with single works in a room in London Bridge. And it evolved into this sort of like Felix style art fair with a mix of Basel Social Club.
Yeah. And what I liked about it so much is, it's in the Mandrake Hotel and people take over the rooms, which I found out the hard way. You're not meant to pee in the hotel room bathrooms.
Are you not?
No.
I didn't know that either.
I went to Spirit Vessel. I had a piss in one of the toilets. And the gallerist very kindly sort of came out and said, "Sorry, were you in there? Did you use the bathroom?" I said, "Yes." He said, "And we've been going downstairs for the whole fair." But again, it's one of the things I really like about the fair is there is this kind of like tyranny of decor. You've got these aesthetics meeting each other. And one of the things that people are talking about a lot with contemporary art right now is the tyranny of the white wall. And does contemporary art manage to stand on its own 2 feet when it's taken out of that context, which I think something like Minor Attractions is really, really good at. I was wondering how you felt about that, especially since you did Minor Attractions and Freeze, which is very much the tyranny of the white wall.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so in Minor Attractions, every year we do something different and we try to put on something experimental. So I guess when we're putting on something, it's usually a sculpture or it's usually an installation or sound piece. So it would, I guess it would veer away from the white wall aesthetic. In Freeze, we still sort of combat against it by decorating the space. So every year we either paint the wall, we make a relief like we did with Savannah Harris last year, or previously to that we did a puppet show where we had these blue curtains. So every year we kind of like combat the white wall. So it's rare that you'd see us with a white wall show. I know we're currently sitting in one now, but then we make up for it with the floor installation.
Absolutely, no. And the first, scent is also a really big part of Harlesden High Street. Right now we've got some incense. The first show I ever saw here was with Adam
Farah.
And he had literally designed a perfume to go along with the screening, which was so cool.
Yeah.
I think I still have the little what do you call
sheet.
them? Yeah, the little
sample.
That's it, the little sample papers. Do you think that there's, obviously there is more room, but how do you think people can sort of embrace that anti-white wallness, especially in London, a bit more? Because it is still very much a part of the programming.
I think generally, a lot of people are escaping from the general art world. I mean, that's why fairs are dying at the moment, because the model's dying.
Yeah.
It doesn't work anymore. And there's many layers as to why it doesn't work, and people are looking for change, and that's why, you've got spaces like Ginny or Frederick popping up in a fish and chip shop, or you got currently there's a new gallery called Canada, I think they're called, and they're just in a hallway of someone's house. And,
oh, you're kidding?
Yeah, it's down in Clapton. Yeah, just like people just going into like different spaces and trying, like right now you're not actually in a space, you're in the side room of a bakery.
Yeah.
This is the hot crust bun room.
Love it.
And so, it's just finding those spaces and trying to sort of work within them. And I think people are sort of getting away from it because they just want new ways to display art and new aesthetics and new ideas to go with it.
Yeah. It's interesting what you say about fairs dying. Do you think there's the obvious reason, like you say, people are looking for new experiences with art. But I think also the collector class is changing very rapidly. How have you found that has affected fairs in general?
This is the thing. I think we kind of, a lot of us in London depend on the same group of collectors, and you'll see a lot of them, and they're great. But what people don't realise, we can tap into other avenues. There's so many people making money from different avenues these days. There's like YouTube people, there's influencers, there's people that maybe one might, put down, but you don't realise they actually have influence, they have capital, and they can provide, they can sort of, contribute to this economy of what we're doing here. And so, recently we've been working a lot with musicians and record executives, because I used to work in the music industry myself.
Yeah.
So I actually reconnected, it's a funny story actually, at Freeze 24, I reconnected with my old boss, Dark as Bees, and he bought work off me. But I didn't know he was coming, and it was like a nice surprise from this guy called, shout out to Wale brought him through. So Wale brought this, he said, "Yeah, I've got a little surprise for you." I had no idea, and I was like, "Is that Darkers?" And he's like, "Yeah." So I used to be an intern at Island Record. The Darkers at the time was the A&R guy, and I used to work for him. And he came through and bought artwork, and it's just like, so Wale being his perfect example is like people and his advisors tapping into the music world, or and bringing them into the art world and getting them to like sort of explore art in different ways. So
it's interesting that contemporary art is one of the last industries to kind of pick up on the kind of idea that you should be having as many different avenues and as many different influences as possible. Because, you look at music, I think it's something I was talking about with Jacob, is sort of, you look at like Lily Allen, for example, and the album is not just an album, it's like an experience where you Google David Harbour, you look at the Architectural Digest video on YouTube, it's all of these different, it becomes an experience, right? It's not just a piece of media, a piece of art. And it's very like late capitalist, fine, but we live in a late capitalist society. And it's fascinating to me that contemporary art just hasn't really caught up with that. Like we're not doing these sort of like overlapping collaborations with music houses, with fashion houses. Do you think obviously there's room for it, but do you think there's a reason why contemporary art hasn't caught up with this?
To play devil's advocate, I understand for most galleries it's enough work to try and create form and sort of like concisely put something together that's clean and does the job. To think about all these other strands, it's sometimes more or less the impossible for a lot of people. And I understand that completely, because I realized the other day I haven't done my dream show yet, because I'm constantly trying to put on stuff that works for like maybe the neighborhood or works for, it's just, there's just so many layers to it. And I think we get caught up in a lot of things. And I think that's where minor attractions stem from, was this idea of like, not something that's just a fair, but more of a cultural proposition, as we like to put it, and something that taps into the broader culture of London, well, more the counterculture of London, which is something that I'm, personally, very, fascinated by, and been trying to like bring into art. But yeah, to answer your question, I think it's just, and admittedly, I hate to say some people in art aren't as cultured as I expected. When I came into it, I thought it was going to be counterculture. I thought it was going to be quite punk. I thought people were going to, like, I remember I mentioned a film to somebody, like a really obvious film, and they're like, what's that? Like something like Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. And I'm like, I thought, my assumption coming into art was that it's high culture. So therefore, if you know about, art, then you must know about independent films. You must know about like music, and apparently not, so people aren't as tapped in as you think. But for me personally, I'm sorry, I don't mean to boast, but that's been my home advantage, because I'm in that. Like the artists I tap into is just artists that I'm into. For example, like I see an album cover, and then I would say, I want to work with that artist, and I'll put a show on with them. I wouldn't sort of worry about their market or worry about those kind of things.
Right, you're worried about the ethos, the actual like cultural value of their message.
And how we can bring that together and how we can influence other people, And
I'm not, someone who thinks that you have to have read Adorno and Greenblatt and all of these people. You don't have to have read theory to know what art is good and what art is bad and to put on a good show. But there is a lot of, I want to say, like kind of apathy in the contemporary art world. Like you say, people that aren't kind of basing their culture or their references in anything beyond the kind of immediate internet culture. Yeah. Which I do find a bit like worrying.
Yeah.
Do you think there's a solution to that beyond just like people getting more into general culture?
I mean, it's up to the individuals. I mean, I've learned, this is the one thing I've learned here. So, I mean, I started off with this sort of idealism, thinking, people are going to come into this space and then be into contemporary art. And I realized you can't convert people to ideas, or can't, convert people. And I realized that art's more of a feeling than a language. And I realized that through even some of the artists I work with, like some of them, I'm not trying to say any names, but some of them, they do like really amazing stuff for me, but then for themselves, it's just terrible. Like there's one guy in particular, he's really fucking brilliant when he does stuff for us. But if you go on his Instagram, it's just, it's like awful stuff, But
do you think that's him trying to like appease the market, or is
no? He doesn't have, he doesn't have a clue. It's just, he's very innocent in his own way. He's a total outsider artist, as we work with. But no, I think it's a lot more layered than that. And I sound like an old man, but I've kind of watched the depreciation of culture over time, and I've got a whole thing behind that. I've got a whole obsession with it. Going back to 2003, when Channel 4 changed their program director, and the program director from BBC joined Channel 4. And what was Channel 4 at that time? That's why I don't know if you saw my story today when I was like, I miss when Channel 4 was like this on Sundays.
No, you post a lot of really cool like art house stuff.
Yeah, so it's referencing that period where that was happening, and then this guy left, and then another guy took over, And I'm sorry, I don't remember their names, but I just remember that in the paper. I was like, okay, and I just saw that drastic change. Like Big Brother, for example, was an experimental show, and it became like a sensational show instead. And then reality TV popped off as a result. And fine, we all like a bit of trash. It's fine. We like to turn our brain off. But at the same time, there was like a lot of the good stuff was being like kind of washed away underneath it.
Yeah.
And a lot of it got decommissioned, and the landscape of like culture changed. And then in art, I noticed that because again, this is going to be an unpopular view, but I actually liked hipsters from the 2000s.
Oh my God, me too.
I liked Vice magazine. I didn't mind that. You know why? Because them lot at least knew about music, and they knew about references, and they knew about whatever. But in 2015, I remember going to like one of the artists that we went going to their show, and then they had an after party. This at CSM, and I remember they were listening to Britney Spears, and they were saying, "Oh, we like it 'cause it's ironic." And I was like, okay, cool, no shade, do your thing. But it wasn't ironic, you lot enjoy that. But it was kind of this weird thing where people's, I guess the low-hanging fruit became the norm. And it wasn't, it's really strange. And it's like, like I said, I have an obsession with archiving and kind of the time period of how culture changes and shifts.
Yeah.
And I feel that definitely had an impact on art. I think it's a really, and I feel, and another controversial opinion, I feel there's a lot of people who are not qualified to be an artist in art. And I could say that's even myself. I could say I'm not qualified, and here I am. And I'll be straight. I think that if I'm successful, that's a bad thing, because I think that I'm not even that good. So like, how is it I'm successful and you lot, you lot are dragging behind in the race? So that bothers me, because I don't even think I'm that good at what I do.
No, I entirely agree.
It's really strange, yeah.
No, because you do talk to people sometimes, and you go, "Oh my God, what the hell? How are you here? How do you have a space?" And then you look them up. It's like, your father's name is blue on Wikipedia. That's how.
Yeah, that's it. That's what I mean. I always feel this. I'm like, man, if you're dumber than me, then we got a problem. Here? Like, I'm the bar, I mean, it's a very low bar to reach. I'm a guy with no education, and haven't got any GCSEs, and here I am. I mean, not that academia's got anything to do with it, but I'm just saying. But like, I'm just, yeah.
I mean, I think it speaks also to this need for outsider art and the desire for people to get away from, again, I keep going back to the white wall, but like, trying to make something a little bit more interesting out of the current ecosystem. And Harlesden High Street does that really, really successfully. Yeah. And one of the things I like about Harlesden High Street so much is you've got your fingers in lots of pies. You do not just the kind of finding artists and putting artists on and putting shows on and fairs, but you also do curation. Can you tell me a little bit about how you curate outsider art?
So yeah, there's one I really want to tell you guys. So there's this guy that came in one day, and he saw we had a show with OKF Amata and Angela Nguyen, and there was a T-shirt on the wall. And he's like, "Oh, I'm a T-shirt printer." And he started getting into this whole thing about T-shirt printing. Started chewing my ear off. I'm like, okay, but what else do you do? And he goes, "Oh, I do drawings." And he showed me his folder of drawings, and they're brilliant. They're like Robert Crumb-esque drawings.
Oh, gorgeous.
Of just like random people, like family members, and then he had loads of this like Chinese guy. And I was like, "Why have you got so many of this old Chinese guy?" He goes, "Oh, that's my grandmaster." And big mistake. I shouldn't have asked him that, because he chewed my ear off about another 2 hours about kung fu. But it was brilliant. It was a brilliant. I mean, it was worth it, because he told me the story how he's basically got beef with a lot of people in Harlesden, because the main Master Chen, his kung fu master, passed away, and he replaced him. So all these guys in Harlesden want to kick him into outer space, as he says, so he can so they can replace him and become number two. And it all takes place in this church in St Mary's Road, but it's like how
it's like a Shakespearean drama going on.
But like this grand battle royale. It's like WWF, 1987, WrestleMania. It's like he's like Hulk Hogan versus, and they all want to fuck each other up in Harlesden. So I said, look, you're not going to get anything out of that besides a bit of GBH. So don't do that, right? Why don't we bring that over here, right? We'll put all your drawings up on put them in nice frames around the wall, and they'll have a nice. Little TV, because he had these videos from like 1987 when he was doing kung fu. Put the little TV with the VHS player and a little shrine for your master, and we'll have the mats out. So we'll turn this into a gym, and you can basically beat the shit out of anyone you like, and it's legal because we can call it performance, right? So I'm like, we got to do this. This is gold.
Oh, when was this?
So no, it's going to happen. It's going to happen. It's one of our upcoming shows. So we're going to call it Chinese Roulette.
Chinese Roulette, amazing.
Yeah, so that's the night of the show, and it's going to be him, come in, And if you beat him, you can replace Master Chen. But the beauty of it is like it's all bullshit, really, isn't it? Because if you beat him, become Master Chen, so what?
Love it.
But I love that. I love that they all have this mission to become
so
Master
good.
Chen. It's like, well, Master Chen's dead, mate. But they But
you can spin that really nicely. It's like ideas of masculinity and competition and the press release writes itself.
Yeah, exactly.
That's so good.
Yeah. So that was going to be our next gallery weekend show.
That's such a good example of how do you curate something. It's just let people beat the shit out of each other.
Yeah.
I think more galleries should do that.
But the drawings are brilliant, though. Don't get me. I love his. I would buy every single drawing he does. He's a really good artist. On top of maybe potentially a good kung fu man or not. I mean, he must be. He's still alive.
Yeah.
After
still kicking.
Nearly 40. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. He said one guy wants to kick him into outer space. I was crying when he said that. But anyway, so that's how we work with some of these outsider artists. We find ways to help them channel their repressed anger and turn it into performance art.
Yeah. Oh, amazing.
Yeah.
And you're also curating Untitled as well. Do you have anyone beating each other up for that? Or is that
I have a few galleries who are fighting over it. Well, I have galleries fighting over spots over there, but other than that, no,
maybe
everything's been really
that's
good.
the next step in contemporary art is when galleries are fighting for spots at fairs. Is you just put the gallerists in a dojo ring.
Yes, we should do that. We should, exactly. Get them against the ropes. I want booth F3. No, we're gonna. No, but it's going to be good. No, it's really exciting. We've got iced tea for our opening party, so that's going to be a lot of fun.
Yummy.
Yeah, so it's going to be good. And then we got, we always like to bring a special musical guest along. And but on top of that, we've got Balani Contemporary, as you know, from London coming out there. We've got John Doe Gallery, Louis Chapel.
Gorgeous. I really like that show.
We got quite a lineup. LBF. Yeah, all the young galleries coming up in London, bringing them out there. Quite excited for it. It's going to be really good. Alyssa Davis, I don't know if you know her from New York. No. She's really cool. So it's going to be a really cool lineup out there.
And this is, you say young galleries, this is another thing that I really appreciate about you, is you are very big on the sort of baby gallery scene.
Yeah.
There's this idea of supporting each other. There are, a couple of group chats of people, where you can just ask people for help, things like Clint's, things like photographers, which, as far as I can tell, is not something that you get a lot in most metropolitan cities. I know I was chatting to a couple of people at Basel, and they were sort of going, well, we don't know what to do this, we don't know how to do this, and saying, well, don't you guys just have sort of some group chat in the city of all the baby galleries? And they said, no, what do you mean? No, why would we do this? And I was kind of support community. I was like, yes, I think not, no, it's everyone for themselves. Yeah. I was a bit surprised to hear that. Do you think can you speak a little bit about the experience of being an emerging gallery and the kind of support systems that need to be reinforced?
Well, it's exactly that, though. We had that one time. We had this artist who come through, mash up my space. He totally destroyed it. But he had these speakers. And I said, hey, for the next show, how do we get these speakers? And exactly that. So I don't want to do the French accent or people sound racist or anything. But he was basically being really dismissive and I don't know how to get it. And, you have to find out. I'm like, what do you mean I know how to get it? You got it, it's right here. How'd you get it? He's like, I don't know, you go to the website. So I said, look, don't worry, lads, I'll take care of it. So I called them up and look, it actually worked out. I ended up forming a partnership with these people, Sova Audio. So we started, using their speakers and helping them. But it's just, so I've always been helping people, but that kind of thing reminded me how some people have no sense of community. This guy came in, used my space, mashed up the thing. I didn't charge him a penny, left garbage in his nappies and all kinds of nonsense in there.
Nice.
Yeah. Next level, how would I say? Disrespect and damage that he caused to the space. But couldn't even help these two guys get some speakers. So, so even more so, I was like, we've got to challenge this and let people know that. And that's the thing, with people like that, I'll still help him.
Yeah.
I think if you start being mean to people like that, you're not going to then encourage them or try and teach them a better way forward, But exactly it. It's just Jacob actually put it quite well in our group chat, Jacob Barnes. He said, we don't have to be friends, but we can just give each other the odd support. And people do. Yeah. And sometimes, and then actually during Freeze, I really saw that camaraderie. After, at the end of Freeze, a lot of us were bored of the after party stuff. Because we all came to we all came to the conclusion that you go to an after party, you spend 30 minutes queuing for one drink, and you're just in a hot room. So Nicole from Public would be like, "Hey guys, do you want to go to the pub?" And
way better.
A bunch of us would just go to the pub. I didn't go to the pub though, but I had to go back to minor attractions. Unfortunately, I had to carry on working. They went to the pub and it was great.
Theoretically, in spirit,
in spirit, I was at the pub. Yeah. No, not unfortunately. I was wicked. There was that one night when I was basically I got the U-Haul guys to come down and park their van. And then I turned up, and last minute I turned up with Will.i.am, but he fucked up the whole place. He was supposed to turn up at 8 o'clock.
I didn't know Will.i.am was there.
He turned up didn't you see the picture? And I was introducing him as Will. It's my friend Bill. But yeah, I brought him down as the special guest for that.
Gorgeous.
Yeah.
But again, speaking of the U-Haul guys, like they're all the way from New York, right?
Yeah.
And still, like, it was so nice to see them. I saw them again in Paris. We both did, it's just this idea of helping each other out.
Oh, they're great. Yeah, they're really lovely guys. They're really good. Yeah, they'll help you pick up and drop off stuff with their van.
With the van, yeah. It's always good to be friends with a man with a van.
They'll help you out. If you need a hand with something, they'll volunteer it. They're really good guys. Yeah.
But it's interesting, this idea of helping each other out, because I find I get a little bit of schadenfreude when galleries, or specifically gallerists, who don't do that, they crash and burn very quickly. There have been a lot of galleries that have shut down recently, but emerging galleries, the ones that have shut down, they're usually people who have been, I don't want to say actively hostile towards the community, but have not engaged in good faith, is possibly a good way of putting it.
The key thing is it's a human people business. It's no matter what you do, no matter how great your program is, if you don't treat people right, it's just going to reflect on you. It really is a people business.
Yeah.
You can't, for example, you can't cold email a collector. You have to know who they are, right? Yeah. So same way with artists, or same way with people. You just got to treat them well, And I don't care who you are. If you're not a collector, you're not whoever. I'll still, try and be as kind as possible to you. I don't care. Like, if you just come here to nick some drinks, cool. We've all done that too.
Oh God, yeah.
You're welcome to, because I
built a career off nicking drinks.
Yeah, exactly. I've got my friend Peter who turns up with his bag and he'll put like 9 drinks in his bag. So I'm accountable for him. So we've got. So it's like everyone's welcome. I think if you just treat people well, it that's the whole idea. It is a community, really, because it's a philanthropic job at the end of the day. It's not a job. You're not here to make money. I'm sorry, you're not. You might make a little bit on top. It's like blackjack. Like you like lose a lot of hands and you make one big win, but then you realise you made £10 on top. Basically what this is. It's like you got to come to terms with it. Your outgoings are going to just go out. So your ingoings are going to go to outgoings really quickly. So.
And it has to be sincere as well.
Yeah.
Because I think a lot of people are very, very happy to use progressive buzzwords like community and working class artists and POC artists and blah, 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 to make themselves look good in the press release or in the press in general. But then they treat actual working class artists and POC artists like shit. And it always kind of, it comes back to bite you, is I want to say quite satisfying to see. It's always good to be right about people.
Yeah, always bubbles and rises to the surface, and it comes through, But yeah, I mean, I'll be honest though. I don't, I find some people's downfall funny, but I try not to go on because we're all in a delicate position, and it's like we're all just trying to survive. But yeah, I just think some people go about in a funny way. But it happens the way it happens sometimes. And
it's at the expense, sometimes quite literally, of the artist, and that's always a huge bummer. Where it's kind of like, well, fuck. It's good to be proved right about someone, but not when it means that artists are getting, their work stolen or hostage, or they're not getting money or whatever, which is always a little bit depressing. Yeah. Do you have any advice for artists, or even gallerists, or potential gallerists that are thinking of entering the London space?
I think first and foremost, just have something new to bring to the table. Don't just do it because you want to do it. Do it because you have an idea of what you want to do. You really like working with artists, and you want to put something. You want to put on exhibitions. You're not here because this is a cheap way to make money, or it's a cheap way to build clout. I think if you come into it, you've got to come into it with a sincere disposition, basically. And that's my advice, really. And my advice to my past self would be get a job prior, go work a normal job and then work, have a bit of savings before you do it. If you're not from a rich background, if you're a rich background, fine, do what the fuck you like. Yeah. But I'm saying if you're coming like me, coming from then have a bit of something behind you. I got lucky with the property thing, but just I'm saying generally other people wouldn't.
No, I mean most artists I know work 2 or 3 jobs on the side, and I think most gallerists I know, especially the emerging ones, either, yes, come from money, or have a job or have had savings from, working a job beforehand.
Exactly.
You have to have a sort of backup plan.
Yeah.
I mean, another thing when it comes down to money that I'm curious about is, have you seen shifts in the way that people are willing to, sort of collectors are willing to spend money since you started Harlesden?
It's funny because when I started, that was probably the time when things were good, but I had no clue. I didn't know my ass from my elbow back then. I was putting all kinds of dog shit at the time. I was like, remember I'd call up people. I remember there was one guy, I don't want to name names, but there's one guy, I used to call him and he'll come curate a show, and the show had nothing to do with my gallery whatsoever, but just, I'm like, why have I got this guy in here? But he'd draw a crowd, This guy, you call him up 2 weeks notice and he'll get the thing going, the shows were crap. So I can be honest about that. So sales didn't really come in till about 22, 23. So I guess during the time when things were petering out for everybody. Thing is, people are buying. It's just you got to have like I said, you just got to have the goods. If you're showing something that people like, right, that's a bit different. It's funny. I was in one of my collector's house the other day, and he was like, after like buying a lot of art from you, my house is very different right now. Like
interesting,
because he's placed a lot of the artworks that he had with the stuff that we sell, and it's like he's like, there's a lot of. First of all, there's a lot of black faces in my house. And I said, yeah, but he goes, why is that? And I said, well, because this is a different time. Yeah. It's a time where galleries like myself have a chance. It's a funny time because it's like what I said earlier on about cultural shifts, right? So, like when we could start making film on digital cameras, it allowed more people to make film. So there's two sides to it. It's oversaturation, but then at the same time, there's people like myself or other filmmakers that would never have had a chance to. So same like with right now. Now there's like ways of like using meanwhile spaces. There's the internet as well, using Instagram, using the internet to like promote yourself.
Yeah, this entire show is very, very like post-internet.
Yeah, exactly.
I think it in a way it is kind of celebrating, not just like aesthetically, but ethically, the new wave of people. I mean, you look at social media, the amount of artists that have come out of that I would never have been introduced to, or gallerists or collectors would not have been introduced to without Instagram.
Exactly. So that's the perks of it. I think the access has definitely given us a new portal. So it's like, there is a lot, but if you know how to trawl through it and you know how to like kind of refine stuff, then you can get to the gold, and I think it's still there. It is I did feel it. It is definitely slower. It is definitely a lot slower. People take their time to make up their minds about things, but things do go. Yeah. Things do sell.
How do you trawl through the good stuff? What's your kind of like methodology?
Here at the space itself, so we have the twofold thing. We have the internet and we have the space. So at the space, when it comes to local audiences, that's pretty straightforward. Because when you talk to people, you first go by the energy and how they're coming at you, and second of all, like what they're showing you, and you kind of know if you can work with this person or not. And I'm sadly, sad to say 9 times out of 10 you can't. And then so it's always the diamonds in the rough. It's always someone that will come through, like Ocean Lauren Balcom Topping. Met through here. Michelle Portman, who did the NWA pictures. So Ocean had a show last year with Helen Nevin, and then did the residency at Somerset House. Who else? Rachel Jones did a show here, so karaoke show. So she done her first. That was her first solo of her new wave. Just like a lot of people we met through the space. They just kind of came through, or like even the guy we showed in Basel, Marcus Jefferson, again, he just came through Instagram, hit us up and just like said, I want to show, and then didn't know what he's talking about. And then, met him at Thaddeus Ropac. We came down to the opening, and I just saw the ideas on his phone he had. I'm like, wow, this guy's got something else. Scatsman's another one, he came to the space. Emmanuel Shogbulu, he's sick. Doorman Business, check that out next week. That's
where's that?
I don't know when it's coming. I don't know when it's coming on. Shit, I need to check the venue. But it's if you go on Instagram, look up Doorman Business. It's special. It's a special club night he does.
So speaking of, what's next for Harlesden High Street?
So next year is a big year for us. So next year, again, I was talking about culture. So it's 2026, and Sophie shout out to Sophie Barrett.
Yes. Also featured on Brave. You can check out her curator's picks for October on our Instagram.
Right this week. She's gonna hate me for talking about this, but this is my this is like I have one narcissistic project. I mentioned it to you guys when you guys are coming in, but I just want to do my little Defo record show because it's the 30th anniversary.
This sounds incredible. Can you tell me more about it? This sounds so exciting.
1996 was a milestone for a lot of things in that record label. So in February 1996, Tupac released his big album, All Eyes on Me, which was like his comeback album. And then in March 1996, Dr. Dre left Defo Records, and that went on to this huge thing which became Aftermath Records, which, Eminem, 50 Cent, all these things came out of it. Then Tupac died, unfortunately. And then following that, Snoop released the second album, which was a huge flop, called The Dogfather. And then Tupac released his like biggest album, Machiavelli, which is like him on the cross. All these albums had like significant artwork in them that a lot of people in the art world don't see.
Yeah.
So initially we were going to do like 4 shows based on these albums. Sophie said, Johnny, I'm not allowing you to do that. You can have one. So I said, all right, well, fine.
Sort of rein you in a little bit.
Look,
the tempering female
right.
sort of experience is always, okay, that sounds lovely, dear, but let's rein it in a little bit.
I'm really looking forward to doing this one big show next year, which we're going to cover everything, and it kind of delves into how Tupac's death impacted life and culture, which is what I was discussing earlier on, how I felt that him dying definitely, because he died, Biggie Smalls died, and then Puff Daddy took over.
Tell me more about the artwork
so the Tupac. So I've got it in my head that Tupac's like it's not like the Antichrist, but he's like a different version of Jesus. Like his death,
Messiah. Yeah.
But he's not a Messiah either, because he was a bit of a prick as well. So like like Jesus wasn't. I don't remember Jesus going around saying bad things about people's wives and that. But like, because I love Tupac, no shade, God rest his soul and all that. But like, just like his death definitely had an impact on culture, and sort of like, and I find that really fascinating that his death, like, lots of things happened as a result of that.
Yeah. That an individual's demise can change a whole cultural landscape.
Because I mean, there's different individuals that come along and they change things, but he's a very particular one. Because when Michael Jackson died, not much happened. Even though Michael Jackson was a huge star, but not much happened when he died. But when Tupac died, just a lot of things took place. It's really I don't know. I find that whole... So I think that was part of it. It wasn't just to do with, like, here's some cool album covers or whatever. It was kind of like to get into the nitty-gritty of how culture then, I would say devolved. But again, that's my own, like, crazy theory. I don't expect people to share it. But I stand by it. I think that's kind of a critical part of the show. So, yeah. So that's one of our big projects.
The fact that it's in Los Angeles as well, I think is really interesting. Like, there's a nice dynamic there.
Well,
Americana.
That's the one thing. I need to have one here. I need to have a show here. But Sophie's like, all right, we'll work that out. So we'll discuss that further on. But yeah, no, I'm excited for next year. And exactly.
Yes, dear.
The new artists we're working with. I'm excited by Echo Show we currently have on. I'm excited by. We're working with Laisel Hoke next year, who won the Beau Arts Prize.
Wonderful.
So 1 year later, he's got a solo show here. So Laisel's fantastic. He works with the local community, and he works with Arthur G Kitchen. And they produce food and snacks together, and he's got this the thing that won the prize last year was an installation he had, which was like a snack machine. And but again, it was a very engaging work. Like, everybody can come along and enjoy the snacks on this machine that he had, and it was like it was incredible. So I'm not sure exactly what he's planning yet, but he's plotting on something. We're going to do a studio visit in a few weeks, but going to be doing something over here with him. And then we got Tim and Barry for Notting Hill Carnival. That's going to be a lot of fun. So I don't know
absolutely.
So for the viewers out there, Tim and Barry are 2 archivists who are really into like the early grime scene in UK and rap scene. And they've captured a lot of footage, and they've got they've got a lot of archival footage. They told me they got one video that's 3 hours long, and it's just like a journey of them like meeting all these like people that you wouldn't believe, like, in their younger days. I can't name any names yet because they don't want me to say, but it's curated by Matt Williams from Camden Arts Centre.
Gorgeous.
So that should be exciting.
I mean, Sophie also works with archival sound art as well, which I think is so cool. Can you talk a little bit about archival research and just in general how it affects your practice, how it affects Harlesden High Street? Because I think it's such almost a lost art. Again, it sort of goes back to what we were saying earlier about, like, people not looking a little harder than they could.
Right. Well, this is another thing people know about me and find annoying. They notice I don't use WhatsApp, and there's a reason why I don't use WhatsApp. Because you are sending low quality images to each other. Even if you press the HD button, it's not the actual file. It's still like a slightly compressed file. And this is now our photos. This is all we have these days of our time. Whereas my neighbour downstairs, Mrs. Simpson, God rest her soul, when she died, she left behind these negatives, and they were from 1930s Jamaica.
Oh, gorgeous.
And there were some photographs, and I saw the pictures, and I thought, this is incredible. How is it a woman who now, if she was alive, would be 120 years old, has better quality than the average 19-year-old out in the streets?
So true.
This doesn't make any sense. And this is why I have this thing. So I'm in this live on camera right now, and live onto Brave Project's got the exclusive. Why is it Jonny Tanna doesn't use WhatsApp? It's because I like people. So I'll say, all right, send it to me by iMessage, or hit me by iMessage.
Yeah.
And if you want to just write to me on Instagram, it's fine. But if I want a picture, I'll say iMessage it to me or email it to me. So I got the original. I really like. So that's been my thing since I was growing up. Is like when I used to record stuff on DVD or VHS, I used to find it frustrating. It was never the exact thing that was being channeled through the signal. You know? And so that became a process for me, like trying to like hunt down, obscure media, but in really high quality.
Yeah, original.
And then, so like I built like a library now of like unreleased films, unreleased music, like all kinds of really obscure media, but like in like either like the closest thing to the source material, or like in just really high quality. And it's just an obsession of mine that I grew up with.
No, and it's so important, especially like you say, in the digital age, where God. My Kindle updated the other day, and it came up with a thing saying that like it now updates the actual text of the books that you have bought. So, if someone tomorrow decided to change, I don't know, George Orwell's 1984 to say something else, on my Kindle, they could do that. Amazon can just do that. They
wokeified your Kindle.
Yeah, exactly. It's like 1984 is now something completely different.
Oh God, I can imagine.
And it's just, and it's really weird. Whereas, you can't do that with a DVD. You can't do that with a book that you've got on your bookshelf. No corporation can come in and change what has been written or what has been engraved onto a CD. Mm-hmm. So like the physicality of media is becoming, I think, increasingly important. I now take all of my photos on a camera, a digital camera, which I've lost. No, I know where it is. I know where it is. It's in my friend's flat. I need to go pick it up. But because I just don't, not that I don't, of course I don't trust Apple and stuff like that, but having media on the cloud and on things that can be accessed by the internet makes me really nervous because yes, obviously the quality is not as good, but B, it can also be edited now, which is really, really worrying to me. So I think archival research and archival, collection is so important. And I think more galleries need to start doing that.
Yeah, I had stuff deleted off my phone recently, and I didn't delete it. And it's weird. Luckily I backed it up already. Uh-huh. I had it all on, I have it all on my computer already. But I had it was when I was out there with Snoop Dogg. It was weirdest stuff. Like it was a Snoop Dogg video that I had that got deleted off my phone, just like vanished. I got like a bunch of stuff that just wiped itself. Like Apple chose like, all right, I don't want this guy to have this. So I'm going to just get it away from him. Lucky thing, I back my phone up every night. Yeah. But it just deleted random stuff off my phone. But I don't take many pictures on my phone. But when I do, it's like I always like because I treat it like a camera itself because I don't like to have like lots and lots and lots of pictures and it just becomes like something I stick in my hard drive and I forget about it. I like to sort of have a very concise amount of pictures, and that's what I take a lot. And that's another thing. It's about being concise because I know people who are archivists and they're a bit too obsessive. I remember there was like these Tupac fans I know. No shade on them, but they go too far. Like one guy who was like, I got this song and it's got a little ding, like the guitar is slightly different. I'm like, how much you pay for that? He goes, $4,000. I'm like, all right.
No, I love people like that.
Nah.
No,
that's too much.
I love that.
If it was like a different lyric or he said something in the song, if he said something, fine. The guitarist played the wrong note. Why would you pay $4,000 for that? No, you are not well. You need to talk to someone.
I love that. No, honestly, shout out to these people. I love nerds like that. I am a huge fan of people that take it that far.
You lot have just killed the music for me. I like listening to music. You lot have just nerdified it too tough for me, but all right.
You made it lame. How have you made Tupac lame?
Yeah, do you know what I mean?
Like, congratulations, you've made the coolest man in the world lame.
Yeah, that's an accomplishment in itself, right? Well done. Yeah. So, but yeah, anyway, that's the thing with archiving. But yeah, it's I think it's important to preserve what we have in this time. And I think, even if you look back at 2 years ago or 3 years ago, it's just like, wow, that was what that was like then. That was You know, I mean, now even with Trump in, now you look at things 1 year prior to that, like what was life like without Trump a year ago, you know, and you'd be surprised.
So true.
Go look at a photograph of yourself 1 year ago, you're probably smiling. And then, you know, you look at yourself now and you know, look miserable half the time.
The light has gone from my eyes. The girlish joy has just slowly been sucked out through workings within the contemporary art scene.
Yeah.
But I think that's also relevant to this show, right? I mean, just the Internet Explorer, for those that aren't watching the video, the huge canvas behind us is a woman with a sort of Internet Explorer, I want to say like a scarification.
Yeah, tribal scar.
Scar on her thigh, which is so good. And and there are these little Easter eggs throughout the entire show of memes as tattoos and as kind of like being matrixed in. And I always find that interesting with post-internet art, is this like, there's always a very, very specific temporality. It's like, you look at, I don't know, paintings from the 1940s, you can generally say, maybe it's post-45, but it's probably, you know, whereas, you know, something that's made in 2022 will be very, very different to something made from 2021.
Yeah.
Like, you really can tell, because we do live in these kind of micro trends, and, you know, the internet moves a lot faster than culture, basically. I always find it really interesting, shows like this, where this temporality is really, really visible. And I think that goes back to archiving things. And it's why it's so important to be able to track where culture is at, because you can see how it's devolving.
Yeah, exactly.
It's just getting worse.
Yes. But this show actually, it's funny you raised this, because, you know, I think 5 years ago, and again, no shade on Echo, but this is the kind of show I wouldn't have done. And I think it's actually a reaction to me as a gallerist not being about what I want, and more about what I think is building a sort of narrative and program around something else that isn't just about me.
Yeah.
You know, so and then learning to sort of go outside the box a little bit and be into things that I wouldn't normally be into, because I was really kind of against this sort of new Y2K aesthetic from these kids who grew up in, like, who were born in 2006 or something, and then,
which is terrifying to me.
It's like,
you're a child, 2006,
and then here you are, like, you know, glorified. But then I find it fascinating, because it's like the same way we, you know, people from our generation would glorify the 90s or 80s or 70s, is what they're doing, and it's their perspective. And I actually, like, decided to look away from it and, like, look beyond it and say, actually, this is quite interesting, rather than being because I mean, actually, you know, if you want to contradict me, go on my website. There's actually a bit which says we don't do that kind of aesthetic, so it's quite funny. I have to take that off, actually.
Get on that.
Yeah. So that's what I mean.
It's just because otherwise you do end up like that Simpsons meme of, like, old man shouts at cloud. You're just like
have an argument with the sky. You know?
Exactly. Quite literally, the cloud, like the internet cloud. You're just kind of like, no. So I think it's good that you're keeping up with this.
But I mean, that was the other part of the practice, was that this is how would I say, it's like an ego test. It's like kind of, because again, there's some gallerists out there, you know, especially from, you know, 2 years ago, that were just like posturing, and it was about them, and you didn't even know what the program was about. And so the idea here was to do the opposite, was just actually to kind of put yourself a step back, and just build a program around artists that you engage with well, and you actually like and respect their practice, but then maybe not align on sort of cultural interests, but then still kind of explore that. You know, it's just taking a step back from yourself and your own ego, and building a platform that's beyond you. And I think, you know, a lot of that I learned, you know, I mean, I can say, you know, shout out to Vanessa Carlos, because that was a gallery that I learned a lot from that. I mean, and through my friend Mandy Elseo, it's the kind of things they would teach me. It's not about you, and it's not about your ego. It's about,
there's got to be ego death.
Yeah,
there's got to be ego death.
Exactly. So,
and again, there are galleries that don't respect that, and they have crumbled. So I think it's kind of a warning, in a way, is if you start taking the gallery ecosystem as a way just to, like, well, like you said earlier, gain clout. You know, it's got to be about the art. It has to be sincere.
Yeah.
There has to be
you can't use your
message.
artist and your space to boost yourself. You know, you're here to help other people. And like I said, it's philanthropic. It really is. Like I really understood that. Like, there's times we go through it and we're like, I'll be real, like, there's moments we get the money and we're like, right, we could be greedy with this right now. And you're like, no, you're paying this out and you're going to pay your bills, and that's that. Like, you're like, okay, I have to pay my artist, but like times I'm like, I could default, I can fuck this art fair over and never do it again. It's like, you pay that bill, you pay them, and okay, I got my chump change here. And you're like, that's
can go
that's
for
it.
a curry with this.
Yeah, exactly. That's what you signed up for. And when you come to that, when you come to terms with that moment, it's a really real moment. And I think it's really important. But then I realize I'm really privileged to be able to do that. Do you know what I mean? Like, if 10 years ago, I barely had like £10 in my pocket. Do you know what I mean? So I'm really happy that I can now do these international art fairs and I can do all these things. And that's the way it works. It's like you're constantly, taking out, reinvesting, and just building it up slowly.
And providing a platform and money and time and space and energy for people that wouldn't necessarily be able to enter that.
Correct,
ecosystem.
exactly, yeah. And that's a choice I've made, and I live with it. And I think it's a very big commitment, and I think people have to take that commitment seriously. Yeah.
And speaking of the internet and social media and press, that's how we met.
Yeah, it's actually a very funny story. It's the first journalist who actually took a stab at us. And I was like, wow, who's this? I mean, she got all her facts wrong, but I was like, I liked it anyway. I thought this is cool. She said something about riding on the call of Lee Scratch Perry and Ruby Dixon.
That's the one,
I thought that was really brilliant. And then I just reached out. I said, look, respect, because no one, I like when there's actual journalism, rather than just like a writer. So yeah, we connected from that. It's nice to meet someone who actually cares about criticality and trying to understand places, and not all of it was completely wrong. Some of it I agree. I do agree with like riding on coolness. Like, you can't just ride off your coolness forever. You need to actually put on good things.
No, and it was really nice to me, because I think a lot of people, when I speak to them about criticism and art criticism, they say, well, what if people don't like it? It's like, A, if they don't like it, then they're not ready to be a gallerist. You need to be able to take criticism. And B, quite often, a lot of my best art world friendships come from these kinds of situations, because you reached out to me and then we ended up chatting till like 1 a.m. about galleries and the ecosystem, and gallerists that we didn't like and galleries that we did like. So I think the idea of like using journalism and press and social media is really, really important to the ecosystem, and it's not scary, and quite often beautiful friendships will bloom from it.
Okay, amen to that, yeah.
Yeah, so tell me, also you use social media quite a lot. I think it's quite important to your practice. Can you talk to that a little bit?
Yeah, I will. I'll get into one thing. Well, just back to criticism for a bit. Yeah, recently,
please.
I made a post about another gallerist.
Okay.
And I called him out.
Yes.
I called him out. What did I say on the post again? Can you remind me?
I think you said it was something. Was this Ben Hunter?
Yeah.
It was something along the lines of, well, look, all of these galleries are closing down, but I'm friends with, was it Inigo Philbrick, or no, it wasn't the chap who wrote about Inigo, Orlando Whitfield, and therefore I can just open up this beautiful shop on I think it was on Duke Street, somewhere in St James's, and I can shit on other galleries that haven't had the chance that I've had.
New strat, let's get a team meeting together. Let's open a space in Duke Street and cuss little galleries that are closed, including TJ Bolton, who closed like 2 years ago.
Yeah, God
How can you cuss a gallery that's closed 2 years ago? To use that, and then like that will make me look successful. I'll look like the top man in town. And then
And it's also TJ Bolton was not selling old masters, as far as I know, whereas this is what this chap is doing.
But again, shout out to Ben Hunt. I've got no beef with you, bruv. If you're watching this, I just thought that was funny. It's just all, you get me. It's all love. It's all comedy.
But this is the thing with press, right? Is people love to do that. People love to just.
I reckon it's me and him going to be friends after. He's probably going to hit me up and say, look, let's have a drink.
Be besties.
Because I don't know who he is, but I know his artist. I found out. Oh yeah, shit, this is Nicole Cosin. Shout out to Nicole. She's good people. I found out that's her gallerist, and I thought, okay, that's probably how you found out. But anyway, but social media, it's been instrumental to us.
Yeah, let's get cocktails, guys. Then come hang out with us.
It has been instrumental to us because, I like to basically put a very, very clear vision or understanding what the gallery is using social media, just using the grid, like using Instagram and having like the installation shots, and then within it you have like a bit of people shots, a bit of the work shots, but all on one post. And I try and limit my posts. So till now, after 2 or 3 years of being around, we still only have like under 100 posts, because I like to really limit it so it's gives you a very clear, concise idea of what the gallery's about.
Yeah.
And then on the website, I like to create flyers for each show. Well, not me personally, sometimes the artists will create it, but it's like just not a picture of the artwork with some writing on top. It's always something that the artist has created or something we agreed on to then promote the show. And then when you go on the website, it looks like movie posters, you know, and that's kind of the idea.
So quality over quantity is what you're saying.
Correct.
Is you've got to keep it concise, keep it like small.
Exactly.
Do you think people, I mean, take it too far with social media? Because I like, we spend so much time on our phones, obviously, but I do think there is obviously an oversaturation, but also it's nice to be able to get an idea of a gallery. And I think you're right, having less is more in that state.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing though, I try not to judge because I find some stuff entertaining. You know, some galleries out there, they film themselves walking around and telling you all about the show. And, you know, it's like, you know, this guy might be 50 something and he'll be filming himself and he's walking around, you know, okay, you know who it is, shout out to Niru. Please don't stop doing it, Niru. Please, if you watch this, I love that. But I'm just saying, so I would not want him to stop doing that.
No, of course not.
Because that's his own style, you know, and it's great because like your dad just like found out how to use the phone. Do you know what I mean? I think that's wicked. So, you know what I mean? So I think, you know, each to their own. I try not to judge because maybe people think, well, I'm doing this stupid. Do you know what I mean? So I can't really tell people there's no right and wrong. There's no one way to skin a cat. But I'm saying what that works for us because I like to, because I'm a rambler, you see. So I'm like trying to be the opposite in life. Like I'm trying to be a concise and succinct person in life. And that's why my Instagram's always I try and keep it tight.
Yeah.
But some people, hey, you know, go out there, you know, do your thing. You know, it's fun. Saturate, you know, because within that saturation, there's always a bit of gold, isn't it? So there's always something there's always a nugget of wisdom, or there's always something. So, you know, that's cool. You know,
it always kind of also depends on like who you want to be. Like, do you want to be the social media artist? I mean, I hate to say this, and I'm sorry to anyone listening who is an artist friend of mine who does this. But the videos where you pick up the canvas and turn it around slowly. I'm sorry, I do lose a little bit of respect for you and your art if you do that. And I understand that you have to do that. And it's a shame that as an artist or a gallerist or, you know, someone who works in that world, you have to also become this social media marketing guru. And, you know, I have friends that make art content and I've overheard some really interesting kind of like psychological tricks that people use to get you or to get viewers, to get them engaged. And it's really, you know, Machiavellian, I almost want to say. No, you know, disrespect for people that make art content, but I didn't realize how much thought goes into it and how much of it is psychology and how much of it is tricking you into, or tricking the viewer or the collector or whatever. And it does, I don't want to say it frustrates me, but yes, I think less is more. That's what I'll say. Less is more.
That's the thing. I mean, that's the thing. It's mad when you say that. 'Cause, with us, it's just like I don't even know who's looking. It's just it's more about myself. It's more about castrating myself and not being too much. And then whatever people take from that's what they take from it. You know. But I like to be concise because I want people to get a quick read on something. Because I don't like when people chew my ear off about something.
Unless it's kung fu.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I'd rather just be like cut to the chase and let's hear what it's about.
Oh, I agree.
You know,
I mean, you see that in press releases as well. I'm sorry, I can't. Like again, this is me going on a rant about like art speak and journalism and language in contemporary art. But with ChatGPT, it's just getting so dire now. The press releases that you see, and it's just waffle. I mean, genuine waffle. And it's so frustrating to me because I'm always saying, art speak is actually okay. Like, it's okay to use complicated words. Like, it doesn't make art less accessible. People are perfectly capable of understanding big words. But when people use it in the ChatGPT sense or in the like, it's a parallel paradox of liminality, blah, 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 it's like, oh my God, you're really not helping my case here. It's just getting so dire. I think, again, less is more, less is more.
I'll be real. When people put on a group show, most of them are crud anyway, right? It's just a bunch of, look, let's go gather some shit from the cupboard and stick it together. Just call it that.
Just call it shit from the cupboard.
Gather some shit from the cupboard. Here you go. You know,
it's a really good group show name. Shit from the cupboard.
When you go to a yard restaurant around here, they go, "What do you want?" And that's it. They don't really get into like, why is the jerk chicken good? Jerk chicken good. That's it. That's it. You get the thing and you move on. Right? It's the same thing. Don't try and dress it up for me. I can see the art. It's fine.
Yeah,
I can see that you haven't really made an effort. Come to terms with it. They should go watch Rocky IV with Sylvester Stallone. I remember my boy, and I quote my friend Andre, the reason why Rocky IV is brilliant is because he came full circle. He goes, look, my films are absolute shit. Right, I'm gonna keep. And he kept trying to make good films. Rocky 1, 2, 3, and he got to 4. He's like, look, let me just call it a day.
Yeah.
It's a crap film, and I do boxing.
Yeah.
And he just like kind of came to terms with it. And that was it.
One.
And then the thing is just about boxing. It says on the DVD. Right, he came to terms with it. It was honest. It was like, look, this is a bit crap, and we do boxing in it, and that's the film. And that's what these group shows should be about. Don't try and add some dress into it. It's not going to work.
No,
People are just going to come in there, have a couple of drinks, and maybe you're lucky they might buy a work or two, and that's that. Don't try and
over-intellectualize it.
Do that with the solos. Do it with the solo. But if you're going to do the solo, put some effort into your press writing. Don't be trying to chat GPT it. Just put it down clearly. What is this about?
One
paragraph.
Embrace the campness of the group show as well. Just like Rocky. Embrace the fact that it's all.
We came here to drink and celebrate.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's, and look, we've got a ton of talented artists and artists that we like, and I don't think we should shy away from the sociality of the private view and all that stuff.
It's an excuse to have some cigarettes and wine.
Yeah, have a bitch. Yeah, it's great.
Yeah. Anyway, so that's me on the press releases.
Press releases and group shows.
Yeah, and at least comes. But if you're going to do a group show, because you could do a banging group show if you've got a really strong theme. And you put it together.
I came from Elizabeth Dimitrov's Soho review show. And there were a couple of other artists. I can't name them. Chris O, I think was one of them. But it was really nicely done. It had a very, very clear theme, which was the W.H. Auden poem Le Musée des Beaux-Arts and Bruegel's Icarus painting, which, they're both very similar in topic. They're both about Icarus and hubris, and all of the works are about Icarus and hubris. And I was like, great, nice. You can see this and all the dialogue. And then sometimes you go to things and you kind of have to squint, be like, fuck me, what do you mean this is about the liminality of blah, 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 blah. It's just
You're squinting to see through the bullshit. That's basically what you're doing. Yeah.
And you see through it and there's nothing there.
Yeah, like abstraction shows, It's like, look, bro, just call it, look, my wife needs the money, that's it. Don't try and lie. You're broke, right? You got no money in your pocket. You need the money, and that's why you're doing an abstract show. Don't put this whole angle on it and whatever.
Also, right? My collector's daughter has just graduated from Central St. Martin's, and she really needs a show right now.
Yeah. This month's mortgage hasn't been paid. Let me put on this abstraction show. Just be real. Just come to terms with it.
That's fine.
I would like to read press releases like this. Life is tough right now. I needed to put an abstraction show. Please. My wife needs the money. Help me out. Times are tough.
Listen, I made some unwise investments in Bitcoin. I shouldn't have gone the Doge route, and now, and now help a brother out, and also get some nice art for your walls. That's it. That's
so now
the
I put on an abstraction show. Yeah, there we go. That's the
I say nice art, some art.
Some art. Yeah,
some art.
Yeah. But anyway, so there we go. All right.
I think that's a gorgeous place to end. I think that's a really positive note, despite our own frustrations with the art system. That's kind of what it's got to be about.
That's it, yeah.
Well, can you tell people where they can find more information about Harlesden High Street, about yourself, about upcoming shows?
So we can. So we have our Instagram and website. Both Instagram's at Harlesden High Street, HARLESDEN High Street. And same with the website, it's harlesdenhighstreet.com. And if you want to know more information, just drop us a message or email, and we'll be happy to guide you, see what happens from there. Or just come down, we'll get you some chicken, like my boy over here, he went straight to BFC. And he turned up just now. I said, where are you right now? He was at BFC. I said, why are you not at Blake's Bakery next door? I had teleported to the chicken. So, anyway. So you want some good chicken, come on down here. We've got it covered. And the spicy
I felt
chips.
really bad because I was on a phone call, so I didn't even see that I was meant to be at the chicken shop. I was just outside with my coffee going, it's really cold. And I did look at the chicken shop. I was like, that looks really good. I've got to wait for Jonny. This has been Jonny Tanna and Victoria Comstock-Kershaw at Harlesden High Street. Thank you so much for listening to Brave Projects podcast, and I will see you next week. Thank you, Jonny.
Thank you, guys. Cool.